have come seeking information? Pelosian. Pelosian is the only one who can answer that question for you. How? How is the question, not where. Pelosian is dead, has been for 1,000 years. No one knows. Since his death, he has appeared above Pelosian's pool every night at midnight. He floats there for an hour and then fades away. No one has ever been able to coax him to speak. You must find a way to bring his voice forth. Pelosian, clairvoyant artist, poet, founder of Tula, and above all, master of summoning. Hearing tales of him in my youth is what led me to summoning, actually. He was an artist of great talent. His paintings are said to help those who meditate on them become closer to achieving oneness. His best work, in my opinion, is the aptly named Mural of Enlightenment. Really? That's interesting. His poetry was a bit overwhelming for most, much less lyrical than his paintings. The poems seemed to reveal his inner self in a way few could understand. We don't know his poetry firsthand. Sadly enough, his works have been lost to us. All we have are others' writings about it. Perhaps. That is not the way this works. The path is yours to tread, no one else's. Yes, that is why I believe that. Even had he not seen the ruins that you seek with his own eyes, he will be able to give you the answers that you seek. It is believed that his writings and his paintings foretold future events. In fact, much of what he has prophesied has come to pass. He saw many things, things that most refused to believe. I appreciate your humor, but all I can tell you is that things are the way they need to be. Pelosian was born to great wealth, but his spirit was that of a wandering mystic. It would not allow him to live a life of leisure. When in his travels he found only arrogance, greed, and the thirst for power among the sorcerers of his day, it troubled his soul greatly. He wandered out into the wasteland, and it was here that he found what he was looking for. Clarity, a singular consciousness, a place he could start a new philosophy of magic. He gathered young, promising disciples around him and created this marvelous place, a beacon to all those that would pursue the ways of magic with a pure heart. Only you can determine that. What questions do you have for me? These? No. They are portals to other places, an indulgence. But I find it soothing to gaze through them. Of course. Of course. When you have completed the task Nazruddin has sent you on, you may have complete use of them.
I'm sorry. I just need a few moments alone. I'm sorry. I didn't want this to happen. I'm trying so hard to be strong. I don't know. I've never really had to face what I feel about all this until right now. I'm not afraid. I know that we have the strength to overcome Aranex when the time comes. It's just that, well... It's you. I guess I shouldn't say that I'm not afraid. I am afraid. Afraid of what I feel. For you, I mean. You see, not long ago I'd have given my life 1,000 times for my people with no thought and no regret. But now, here with you, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. I've never felt this way. There has never been anyone in my village who well, I don't know, I'm making such a mess of all of this. I just wanted you to know that when we fight Aranex, that I won't be fighting for Kintara or Arcanum, or even for myself. I will fight for what I will have when I come home. Do you understand? By the blood which flows in my veins, by the elven magics older than love itself, I pledge my heart to you. I am yours. I will always be yours. No, no more words. We have so little time, let us not waste it. I think it's time we return, my love. As if I leave you now. Together we will face whatever is to come.
What is it that you want of me? What can I answer for you? It seems that the time has come for us to be banished, I'm afraid. So it's off to the Ring of Brodgar for us, then. Gods. To think I'm actually going to my own banishment willingly. Well, wonders never cease.
Are you prepared to face Aranex? Then it is time. May your gods accompany you to the other side and help you to stop Aranex.
Yes? What is it? Your presumption is correct. And who might I have the pleasure of addressing? Well, what brings you to my corner of oblivion? That is a feeling I have much familiarity with. Sometimes I feel that my fate was decreed from an early age. Do not misunderstand me. I take full responsibility for my actions. Though, how are one's actions determined, really? How is our view of the world shaped? Mine was shaped by arguably the most powerful individual in the world, my father. He raised me on tales of the righteous superiority of the elves and the destiny that brought us to rule over all the races. What did he expect? He shoved a young, immature, and inexperienced fool into a position of immense power and set me loose on the world. Why didn't he stop me? He should have stopped me. Most certainly. I have had 2,000 years of my grievous errors and judgment replaying themselves in my mind. One tends to grow a bit of a conscience in all that time. I did no such thing. I've been here for ages. Do you really think I could reach across the void to torment you? You fool! You think this is my protection? This is my prison! I've been trapped inside this shell for nearly 2,000 years! I assure you, it is not a light-hearted jest, though I wish that it were. I have been trapped here since soon after I was banished to this realm. This is Kurgan's doing. When I first came here and realized what he was becoming, I attempted to stop him. Our battle was intense, yet brief. As you can see, I was not the victor. One and the same. It looked as if I was correct as to the effects of his experimentation. His dark magics have transformed him hideously, in body and spirit. Regret? No. Though I can't help but feel that I was so set against him simply because he was human. Regardless of my childish excesses, though, there is no denying the base evilness of his actions. Being that I am trapped in here, my opportunities to get information are, shall we say, a bit limited. On the rare occasion Kurgan has deigned to visit me to play his intellectual games, he has dropped some veiled clues that might make sense in light of what you've told me. If I had to hazard a guess, I would say Kurgan is impersonating me. It sounds as if these dark elves you mentioned have patterned themselves after the misguided philosophy of my youth. They are proving to be powerful allies in his quest to return to Arcanum, it seems. I doubt they would be willing to help Kurgan the Terrible return to exact his revenge. That would appear to be the case. If you were able to facilitate my release from this prison, it would be my pleasure to help you destroy Kurgan. I'm not saying it will be easy to defeat Kurgan. In fact, the attempt might be fatal. Yet, I believe it worth the risk. We cannot let him return to Arcanum. It would mean the end of all life there. I have a few acquaintances on this side that may be interested in helping us as well, should you succeed in releasing me. Then our task should be at least a fraction easier. All we need to do is hurt him enough so that he attempts to regenerate himself, and then you can use the device on him. Of course, this is easier spoken of than accomplished. I'm afraid I do not know. I do not believe Kurgan could maintain this from a distance, so there must be something near here. What are your questions? I do not know. I would assume the gate they are building is located somewhere near Kurgan's castle, though. I do not know much, but what I do know is that there used to exist some sort of civilization here, and the world was not broken up into distinct land masses. I do not know if some ancient war destroyed this realm, or if it was the doing of one of the heinous villains the Council banished. It seems irresponsible in hindsight, but at the time they felt the void was oblivion. Nothing was supposed to be over here. What is it that you wish of me, then? When I first came here and realized what he was becoming, I attempted to stop him. Our battle was intense, yet brief. As you can see, I was not the victor. I was a bit full of myself back then. All the damage and death I had caused had not even scratched the surface of my conscience at the time. Full of blind rage and arrogance I was. What is it that you wish of me, then? That is the great shame of my life. After I had convinced the Council to banish Kurgan, I felt I could do no wrong. When Vendigroth laughed off my warnings, I felt they needed a display of my power. In destroying one of their factories, I killed several innocent people. When they began constructing their device to protect themselves from my unprovoked attacks, I lashed out without thinking and destroyed them all. My fear of what technology could bring was so pervasive, I never thought there was any other solution. Most certainly. I've had 2,000 years of my grievous errors in judgment replaying themselves in my mind. One tends to grow a bit of a conscience in all that time. I still think of my father and what I did to him. Even though he must bear a fair share of the blame for what happened, I do not think he deserved his fate. Many thanks for releasing me from my horribly lengthy incarceration, sir. I am at your service. We could do well to recruit some help. I know some beings in this realm that we might be able to convince to follow us. Perhaps you have heard of them. The Bane of Kree, Gorgoth, and Krakatur. We can only hope. We will have to convince them that Kurgan is a danger to them as well. I don't know. We will need to find a way to navigate amongst the different land masses of the void using the ancient portals.
Greetings. Long have I waited for your arrival, and finally this moment has come. I am Kurgan, first of the necromancers, voyager in the lands of the dead. I would think not. Although the presence of Aranax tells me you already know much of my tale. At least as much as he deemed necessary in order to bring you into his confidence. My life in the world you call Arcanum seems so very distant. The memories clouded like those of a child, and a child I was then, probing the darker magics, given glimpses of the truths yet to come. Yes, look at me, and what do you see? A monster? An abomination? You've no idea what I've discovered. You see with eyes tainted by life, and all which that accursed state embodies. My vision is clear because of those magics you hold in disdain, and the Council. It is they I have to thank for it. In your world, your Arcanum, I was powerful. Perhaps the most powerful human magicka who has ever been. But to humans, cursed with our shortness of life, our brevity, what is this power? What can be learned in that impermanent spark that is our lives? Nothing. But here, in this so-called prison, there are no limits. There is no end. This place, this void, has no time as you know it. I've been here for more than 2,000 of your years, and yet I've aged not at all. I feel as I did the moment they sent me here, or as when the Dark Elves first called to me. Do you now see? Here I can do everything I did in your world, but I am unfettered by the chains of mortality that time hangs upon us. Yes, I know. Ironic, isn't it? It was on my ears that their feeble and pathetic cries had fallen. To me, Kurgan, who had defeated their master and thrown him in chains. Kurgan, who had manipulated them into subverting the Panari and weakening the wards. Kurgan, who used them to send me the dwarves of the Black Mountain clan, who have now finished the bridge back to Arcanum. I truly wish I could. My reasons for returning aren't what you'd think. I have no aspirations for power or domination like your companion Aranax did. Aspirations that I became the victim of. No. Those are the motivations of the living, and I no longer place myself among them. If only I could show you the places I've seen, you might understand the things I say. I've been to the desolate lands, wandered by those souls who still see the lands of the living, but wear the cloak of the dead. Blind to their own ends, they cry, passing through one another like shadows in the dying light of day. I've traveled to where souls rot in torment, pierced with the jagged shards of life and vision, clinging to memory, regrets of the flesh. I saw that this prison was of their own making, and the key was in unknowing, in release. And still, I traveled on. And finally, I came to the place where souls go to die, where the mirrored and worn spirits fall into an endless sea of gray, mirrored glass. And I lowered myself within, and lay there among them, and I almost did not return. And do you know what I found there? There, among the silent and battered shells of the innumerable? Peace, enlightenment, truth. Only then did I realize that this place, this life, is an abomination, a horrible distortion of the natural order. This life, who mothered pain and fear and envy, these twisted children who exist only because we are here to feed them, to nourish them. This life, this afterthought, a disturbance, a mere ripple in that great, dead sea, not even the cause, but merely an effect, sending these souls upward, screaming for release from the day they are torn from their waters. The effect of what? I do not know, nor do I care. Have you ever spoken with the dead, called to them from this side, pulled them from their silent rest? Do you know what it is that they feel? Pain. Pain when torn into this wakefulness, this reminder of the chaos from which they had escaped. Pain at having to live. There will be no more pain. There will be no more chaos. I see your soul, traveler. It screams, tattered and spent. Do you feel its pull? Do you hear its wailing? It is within my power to calm these waters, and that is what I shall do.
Hold on a moment. Might I speak with you? What he is saying, it's not completely untrue. I've seen the places he speaks of, felt the peace and serenity of that great Dead Sea. It's not something I'll ever forget. Of course not. I made my choice a long time ago, and I choose to stand with you. Yes, there is pain in life, pain and loss and sorrow. But there is also joy and the pleasures of growing and learning. You can't have one without the other, and I wouldn't want to sacrifice either. But in the end, I stand with you, whatever your choice.
I can no longer tolerate the atrocities that this thing, this life has brought about. There will be peace. There will be quiet. Life will no longer be. And so I go to Arcanum to be an end to it. And then I will join the souls of the dead when it is done. Of course. I was the first of the necromancers, and the Elven Council was displeased with my studies into the darker side of that discipline. After an inquiry into my activities, the Council was going to exile me, but Arronax, in his hatred of me, convinced that banishment was more appropriate for my so-called crimes. They banished me soon afterward. Of course. Arronax was banished here only a few years after I was. After seeing how powerful I'd become, he raised a ragged army against me. But his efforts were useless. I destroyed his army and threw him in chains. A fitting end for him, and a reward for his endless arrogance. Of course. The Dark Elves began calling across the void soon after Arronax had been banished. By the time their feeble cries were heard, their master was already defeated and imprisoned. Pretending I was he, I masterminded the manipulation of the Panari, coerced the Dark Elves into betraying the trusts of Loghaire and the Wheel Clan, and had the Black Mountain Clan sent to me. The Black Mountain Clan was brought here because of the nature of technology and magic. The wards which bind the gate back to Arcanum are weakening because of the rise of technology. I've brought the dwarves here to construct a device to shatter the wards once and for all. Of course. I can no longer tolerate the atrocities that this thing, this life has brought about. There will be peace. There will be quiet. Life will no longer be. And so I go to Arcanum to be an end to it. And then I will join the souls of the dead when it is done. Am I? It all depends on your point of view. Take yourself, for example. You've been told from the beginning of your adventure that you're the second coming of Nasrudin, the return of the living one. Do you believe it? No. You're very, very wrong. There are no prophecies. It's only the nature of living things to want to conform their existence to a foreseeable pattern, to attempt to exert control over the chaos that surrounds them. Life, by its very nature, disallows this. Life is an accident, the result of random chance. Therefore, its structure can be no different. What I'm saying is that you don't have to obey this pattern, this prophecy that life has seemingly put before you. It is a falsehood and a creation of lesser minds. You can make your own choice. It merely involves a change in the way you perceive things.
The defeat of Lucan and his henchmen, coupled with your freeing of the ghost of Bessie Toon, enabled Shrouded Hills to grow and become a thriving community once again. A new silver vein is discovered in the old Bessie Toon mine. Workers pour into town by the dozens, and within a few years, Shrouded Hills is a bustling boom town. Following the deaths of Pollock and Darian Mogg, the Boyle was demolished and then built anew. The Bentley was renovated and became the most elegant hotel in Tarrant. The owner, the Honorable Mr. Caleb Molloy, is often seen mixing drinks for his guests in the hotel bar. Don Throg, because of the advice that you gave him, became a leading political activist in the fight for Orcish rights. In time, he legalized Orcish labor unions, secured the vote for all citizens regardless of race or gender, and became the champion of equal rights and justice in Tarrant. Before long, he was begrudgingly voted into the Industrial Council, and in a few years he sat at its head. Maximilian was returned to Dernholm, and all of Cumbria rejoiced in the return of their rightful king. Under the new rule of Maximilian, Cumbria quickly grew into a powerful nation, embracing both magic and technology. And once again, the proud banner of the Dragon Knights flew from the ramparts of Dernholm Castle, set there by their new captain, Liana Peldar. Because of your outstanding efforts in negotiating the terms for Caledon's membership into the unified kingdom, as well as the wise governing policies of Don Throg, Caledon and Tarrant became equally prosperous. There is peace for many years in Arcanum, because you convinced the mayor of Blackroot to rejoin Cumbria. There is a small struggle between Maximilian and the Industrial Council concerning ownership of the town. Maximilian was determined to defend his own, and he was successful in doing so. Under the protection of their new king, Blackroot grew into one of the most important port cities in all of Arcanum. Under the continued leadership of Loghaire Thunderstone, the Wheel clan came out of seclusion and rejoined the world. Loghaire himself lived for more than 800 years, and songs are still sung about his bravery and courage. Khan Karai of the Bedokan made a lasting peace with the elves of Kintara, and together they rid the glimmering forests and the dark fens of poachers and of the spoilers of the land. In time, the Bedokan became a more civilized people, sharing in the wonders of the new age. Upon returning to Arcanum, Aranax buried his father on the Isle of Thanatos. Later he traveled to the Vendigroth Wastes, and there used his powers and single-handedly raised the city from the ruins it had become. Vendigroth again became a place of awe and wonder. Upon returning to Arcanum, you were revered as a hero, and many legends were told about your adventures and your final battle with Kurgan the Terrible. As years went by, your name became almost mythical, spoken in the same breath as the heroes of old. Yet, after all of this, Arcanum is still what it always was, a place of possibility, a place of change. One thing is certain, and that is that nothing at all is ever certain in this place. Who's to say what the future holds for the land we call Arcanum?